All right, we've been having some really intense discussions off camera here about record highs here, talking about alternative investments and NFTs. Well, it may be the new way to invest your money, but physical objects are still viable. Taylor, you're taking a look at the value, I'm told the record high value of some of the wine.
You know, I show up at 2 o'clock and tell me the only thing I can do is discuss NASDAQ and bonds. So wait for this chart. We're looking at not only record highs in NASDAQ, but in fine wines. And we do this for Caroline, who is the classy one on this set. This is the Fine Wine 100 Index. It tracks the price performance of the 100 most sought after fine wines on the secondary market. It's up 2.2% in October. Again, a record as we look. And while it's kind of going back to the 2011 peak and beyond, guess what drove it, Caroline?
Can I just say, can I say the Fed? Can I blame
yes,
cheap
all
money?
the liquidity
If you take that chart and put the M2 money supply over it, you have all the answers you need.
I mean, basically, this is it. It's
after the Fed, high-end Burgundy wines pushed it to a record.
Oh, that's what you were getting at.
She was going more niche than the Fed. I see. Let's talk Burgundy. Let's talk fine Burgundy. Let's do it with Atlas Fine Wines, because they're currently holding their first ever online wine auction themselves. Simon Larkin, Atlas Fine Wines Managing Director, is with us and talk to us about Domaine Leroy. It is, of course, a prize collection that you've helped build up, and you're doing it via an online auction, bypassing the likes of Sotheby's, who you perhaps sold these sorts of collections through before. And I'm interested as to who the sort of buyer is for a collection such as this.
Okay, well, good evening. They're an incredibly rare range of wines. Domaine Leroy has its origins back in the 50s, 60s, when it was negotiating on buying young wines and trading them in Burgundy. But it was 1988 that it really moved forward. So it's become one of the most expensive, one of the most sought after domains in France now. I mean, producing a range of Grand Cru, some of which now today trade for, in sterling, 40,000 for a bottle for the Grand Cru Masigny. Incredibly rare, only about 800 bottles produced each year. So these are some of the rarest wines that anyone's ever likely to own. Who's likely to purchase? That becomes a difficult question to answer. We've got global demand coming in for this auction. And it's been fascinating to understand exactly where the bidders are from. So many different countries are represented.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could talk a little bit about the motivations. Get us into the heads of some of these folks, because we talk about how hard it is to value some of these alternative assets. And obviously something like fine wine, even when it has a great pedigree here, like the Leroy, it's still difficult to say, okay, what is this really worth? So are people buying this for the bragging rights? Are they buying this because they're just into wine? Or are they buying it because they really do see a longer-term investment opportunity?
I think probably a combination of factors, but you're entirely correct. I mean, what drew us to the idea of having an online auction is you can't find data points to ascertain the true value. You only find the true value when a rarity, as such as, say, the Masigny that's in this sale, comes to auction like this, in an original case, which is even more unusual with, established provenance. So it is, I think, a combination of those factors. Undoubtedly, there's some joy of ownership for those that are wealthy enough to be able to purchase.
Yeah.
But equally, I think there are clients that will be wanting to consume these wines because they are real reference points for Burgundy, and they're among the finest wines in the world, full stop.
Simon, we've only got a minute left. Let's talk about actually drinking this stuff, because the vintages date back to 1996. Has it all been kept in such a manner that it will still taste delicious?
Yeah, all been professionally stored. The unusual thing is I started working with the client that built this collection in the early 2000s. And so I've kind of followed this collection almost all the way through my sort of wine life, my career. So they've been professionally stored, throughout their time with us. And as you can see on the auction pages, we've got high resolution images that document, the condition, as well as supporting data, invoices, etc. So yeah, it's highly unusual from that perspective. A lot of things come to auction that come from various different sources. This has been with us all the while.
All right, Simon, this is an exciting time. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us. Simon Larkin, Managing Director of Atlas Fine Wines. The Leroy, I've been mispronouncing it.
Yeah, this is Bloomberg.